The project started on 9th of February. This was due, the delay was due to that the commission signed a little bit later, as always. I mean, they are always late. And then the Orthodox Christmas and New Year came in, and so on. Then, so we started 9th of February. Actually, we started 1st of February, but due to some administrative processes this time here in Georgia, we could start only on 9th of February, and due to the COVID restrictions, I could not come in February. The delegation asked me not to come, so I arrived only on 3rd of March to Georgia, and the first 3 weeks we did online, and because it was online, therefore we could not make the roadshow at the universities that we started last week. The project duration is 24 months, so 2 years. The contracting authority is the European delegation to Georgia, because it's a grant scheme, therefore it is not the Ministry of Education and Science, but the delegation. The contractor is the Deutscher Akademischer Austauschdienst, but I think you know very well because they are very, very active in Georgia. The budget is almost 1.5 million euro, out of which half of the money goes for the scholarship, and there is also 97,000 euro as incidental cost for, you know that in European project the visibility and dissemination and so on is very important for them, therefore they give so much money for public relations, so to say, or the human resources of the project, project officer, not project manager, project officer from the delegation is Nika Kochishvili. The so-called project director from the contracted company is the director of DAD in Georgia, Raul Gebhardt. Team leader is myself, Peter Debrecen. I'm from Hungary, and I have my academic background was in theoretical physics, but just for fun, I have also a master in Arabic language and literature. I used it later, but anyway, that time it was just for fun to learn something else than physics. And I was teaching 25 years at my university, physics, and also I was guest lecturer for 5 years in technical university in Oran in Algeria. And I was teaching there in French and in Arabic language. And during the last 25 years, I'm working in European project, European or World Bank project or Asian Development Bank project, and I mean different development projects. And this is actually my third project in Georgia. First time I was here 8 years ago, but for short time missions, 3 times 3 weeks or 4 weeks. TSU, the Tbilisi State University, and I was here 2 years ago to revise the higher education strategy for the Ministry of Education and Science, but that was, if I remember well, it was either a 1 week or 2 weeks mission, because I was working in Morocco and I just came from Morocco here for 1 or 2 weeks and went back to Morocco to another project. So I'm the team leader of the project. I have a fantastic team. The deputy team leader is Nino Gacechiladze.
Hi, I think most of the part of the audience know me. Hello, I'm Ilia. For this project, I'm deputy team leader, but I'm also associated professor at Tbilisi State University. And most of you probably know me because I was for 5 years. I was deputy director general of Ustava National Science Foundation. So my pleasure to work in this new role.
The technical assistance team has 3 permanent persons, and I want to present our junior key expert.
I have experience of working for Ustava Foundation, so I have experience in grant management, and I won't take much of your time because you are waiting already. So, Peter, you can continue.
Besides, we will have experts for remote control. To be chosen from a pool. It will be 100 or maybe even more experts for remote evaluation. All of them will be from European member states because Georgia is a small country, so to avoid any conflict of interest, all those will be outsiders. Plus, we will have a selection panel They will make the final decision. That will be about 5 persons. They will make the financial selection based on the evaluation of the remote evaluation, government policy, and there will be also interviews, personal interviews with the applicants. And we will have 5 trainers, also from European member states, although I think maybe because those will be trainers for how to write proposals for the different research and innovation grants of the European Union, but also there will be trainings for how to manage projects. I mean, not small projects, but large scale projects. What was the starting point for the project? First of all, I mean, there were different government strategies. I don't want to mention all of them, because the terms of reference was written 2 years ago. So you should not, you should keep in mind that's when you see a new project. The only thing I put here was the government program toward building a European state. It was written in 2020, December. Here are the main wishes of the government. What do they want to develop in the research sector? I highlighted only 2, which is upgrade science management system and engagement of scientific institutions and research groups in international framework programs and scientific projects, because actually these 2 points gives the background for our project. I said wishes because I'm used to government programs when there is a text, this is what we want to do, that's the money, this is the amount of money we will spend on it, and this is the responsible institution who will do it, but in this program there are only the text. So therefore I said wishes, it's not really a program, because when you have a program you should have an implementation plan with clearly earmarked financial support and which institution will be responsible for it, either within the government or non-governmental sector, it doesn't matter. And then the other rationale, in my opinion, was the performance of Georgia in Horizon 2020. Here are the figures. I just made a comparison with Croatia. I gave also the figures for Croatia. The reason is very simple, because Croatia has, as a country, has the same amount of inhabitants as Georgia, and also they have the same number of researchers as Georgia. But you see the differences. So it means that Georgia underperformed in Horizon 2020 in comparison to the human resources available in research. And I remember, you were not born yet, but when I started to work at the university, in physics we had very good relations with Georgian universities, because they were really very high level, even in international comparison in physics and mathematics. That's my field, therefore I'm mentioning this. Although something is missing from this, that Croatia spends 3 times more money on research from the GDP, although it's still very low compared to the European average. But anyway, 3 times more money goes for research than in Georgia. But if I look at the GDP per capita in purchasing power parity, the difference is not as big. So it means that it's a policy question, and priorities and strategy and so on. And you know, for example, that South Korea was nothing a couple of decades ago, and they spent enormous amount for education, higher education and research, and now they are between the best countries in industrially and so on. So they became a very rich country. What are the objectives and activities in the project? The overall objective is to promotion of internationalization of Georgia's science technology and innovation sector. And the other two, in the terms of reference, it was mentioned as specific objectives, but I think the most important would be, oops, I thought there is a point there. There should be somewhere. Maybe here. No. Anyway, so if we go to the specific objectives, there are two main parts: is promoting networking and collaboration, and advancing the skills for participation in EU funding schemes and programs, especially Horizon Europe and Coast and Aeronet. Aeronet is not for the universities, Aeronet is usually between governments. I know, because I already participated in 2 Aeronet when I worked the Hungarian funding agency for technology and development. What has happened was, when our contract was signed, that time Georgia entered as full member for Horizon Europe. Plus, I learned it also during, there was an opening conference for Horizon Europe in Kutaisi 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and I learned there that for each university's grant offices were set up, and also an independent Horizon Europe office was created, because beforehand the national coordinator for Horizon program was within the Ministry of Education, but now they have an independent office, and they are staffing their members. And also the government set up science management school. So if and the science management school, to have the science management school, this is to advance the skills for participate. I mean, how to write proposals for European projects, especially for Horizon Europe, because those are usually very complex projects. Based on the specific objectives, we propose two components in the project. Component one is the design and the implementation of the funding scheme, and component two is enhance the capacity of Georgia's R&D community in proposal writing and research grant management. So as you see, research grant management for this they set up this science management school. It is not yet staffed. I suppose they have a director because this is the first they start with it, and then they will hire the rest. And but our project, one of our project aim to help both the university grant offices staff, to help the NCPs, and also to train the new staff for this scientific management school in our component 2, actually, component 2. The results, the fellowship scheme is developed, and there will be 50. So just compare it with the 750,000 euro, divide by 50, so you will see how much money the candidates will get. And also you should take into account that there are 6,000 researchers in Georgia, so I think the selection will be very very challenging. And second result, what is waited from us, international cooperation enhanced, and especially that sustainable professional contacts are established. So it means that this is not the typical already existing or running mobility schemes, which is financed by DAD, by Shota Rustaveli Foundation, or Tubitak, or CRNS from France, or other members, other countries, or other funding agencies. So it's a specific mobility scheme, which means that the candidates should do two different things at the same time. First, to do the research with their counterparts, find the contacts to do the research, plus to be a kind of an ambassador for the Georgian science, technology and innovation sector. So therefore, the money will be even higher or at the same level as the salary of an ambassador, except that for the ambassador everything is paid. But in this case, you have to pay for everything. The third result weighted is increasing the scientific productivity. I don't know how can it be done in 2 years, but anyway, we will find a way for this. And when Nino will speak of the components, we will explain how we imagine that scientific productivity will be increased as an impact of this project. Fourth result, the EU best practices in research and innovation will be shared and transferred to the scientific community in Georgia by those who win the mobility scheme. Result 5 is it starts with the gap to investigate what are the gaps in proposal writing, and then based on this, we will define tailored trainings in Horizon Europe framework program, Coast and Aeronet. Therefore, we have the 5. I mean, for this reason, we have the 5 trainers. And then result 6 is related to this, that the capacity in proposal writing will be better or higher. And also the same for result 7, that not only the researchers, but the grant offices at higher education institutions and the other granting agencies like Shutterstock, and Enterprise Georgia, they will have a better knowledge about the projects in or the grants for research and development within the European Union, especially Horizon Europe, which is an enormous amount of money, 98 billion euro. It's not bad. I would like to have 10% of it on my account. And result 8 is awareness raising, again for the funding agencies, on what is called the people-to-people initiatives, again within the EU's granting. Primary targets groups of the project are researchers and innovators. There are some, in the terms of reference, they define some criteria that the applicant should have a PhD or at least 4 years of full-time equivalent research experience. Yeah? So those are the 2 main criteria for the applicants. And then secondary target groups are government, 2 Ministry of Education and Science, Ministry of Economy and Sustainable Development, because actually their role is to define research and innovation policy on national level. And then we go to the implementation level, which is Shutterstock and JITA. They are the leading institutions in the mobility schemes, one for the research and the other mainly for innovation or technological innovation. And then you have the actors level, universities, research institutes that should have their own institutional research policy, in which direction they, what are their priorities and so on, based on the huge amount of money that you get from the state. And then the enterprises who are actors in implementing research and innovation in their daily activities. Implementation, these are the components. I give the floor to Nino.
Yeah,
it's better if you come here because you can read it easily.
Okay. The most important part about the competition. Okay, so as Mr. Deklaratsiani already explained, the research mobility, the program support to the Georgia's researchers' mobility consists 2 parts. One is this capacity building, which will mostly take part in the second part of the second year. And the first year, right now, very shortly, where we have to develop the grant scheme, which will fund at least 15 scientists and innovators to go abroad for networking, for research work, for somehow try to, their role will be they somehow try to enter in each Horizon Europe's different pillars and clusters like health and food and agriculture, etc. And for this, we should announce very shortly, probably in May. That's why we were in a hurry. We would like, of course, to have much more information rather than I will be sharing now. But don't worry. If I am now giving only a general frame, because we will keep this so-called consultation day as soon as we announce the call. This is just general information, what you should expect in the frame of the call. First of all, of course, we are now working and trying to develop the strategy based on what the call should be designed. And then, for this, we are doing this capitalization of the tools and gathering all the data from CRSFG and GITA, and etc. And then we are already working on terms of reference of this grant scheme and also application forms and etc. Probably the deadline, which the information which now I can share with you, it can be shifted 1-2 days forward or back, but generally it will be announced in May, and end of June will be deadline, so it will be really short, one month. But you should keep in mind that this is not a fundamental research. You are just presenting only one language proposal. Yes, I knew that it will be interesting. Only one language proposal, only in English. Just a few pages describing your work, your intentions, where are you going, why you are going, who is your host, and of course have a support letter from host institution and support letter from your home institution that they support you and you will still have a job when you return from this trip. The duration of mobility is 3 months. It's flexible. I mean, you can divide into 1 and 2 or 1.5 and 1.5. And I'll finish with this. So then we will implement this call and gather this application, the technical check, and the recruitment of remote expert will be done in July. Then in August we have that season as you do, and in September and October it will be final evaluation through the second stage. This is interview with the selection panel. And we are expecting to start the fellowship, to implement the fellowship and send the researchers abroad from November. And all this will be implemented during 1 year. It means from November this year until October next year. So these 3 months should fit in this period. And after this, we will, of course, start to monitoring will start from the very beginning as soon as you will be going out abroad, but then evaluation of our own grant scheme and evaluation of these outputs, outcomes, and etc. So this is the main scheme which I just explained. A few words about evaluation, which mostly is subject to be interested to everyone. Evaluation, as I said, will be done in 2 steps. So, first, your proposal will be evaluated by at least two remote experts of your field, of course, and then you will have an interview with the selection panel. And all the experts which will be remote or chosen for remote evaluation or for selection part to participate in selection panel meeting, that will be from the pool of European experts union. So none of Georgian and local experts or the experts from neighboring area will be involved in the project, in the evaluation process. Next slide, please. Financing the fellowship, which is also very important. This is good. This is much more generous than any of donor organization could offer by now. And by now, you probably have never received. This is €5,000 per month. And the duration is 3 months, so you are getting €15,000. And here is the list for eligible cost. This is random fellowship, of course. Travel cost for the technical proposal, original technical proposal, which was published by Europaid, which we participated and won this grant, because this is the grant for ourselves also. This was competition on EU portal. There were a few institutions. Big institutions were, of course, not individual grant scheme, but it was institutional. A few organizations participated. There was shortlist and winner, etc. So we won a grant to distribute the grant. So, and from the technical, in original technical proposal, this is not mentioned, but I absolutely am sure that also insurance will be covered, and this will be eligible cost. The travel cost, of course, insurance, allowance like accommodation and daily subsistence, cost of overhead and the host institution, if any applies, because sometimes you need some. You probably know this because the first star of CNSF and University of Oxford's joint program in Georgian studies. And so we did this with this call also when I was working at the foundation, because sometimes there are some costs which should be covered, and the institution asks for this cost, like for instance for accessing libraries or some materials or manuscripts or something like this. If it appears the cost is eligible to finance, also to trainings which could appear during these 3 months period when you will be there. For instance, also training in Horizon Europe or cost sections or Net's other programs, grant writing or etc. And also networking costs if they also appear at the host institution, and the conference fee. But please pay attention, these are not usual conference fee like we used to distribute when, like it's here, I said this. This is conferences which are related to that work, and if the conference appears during this period of time which you are spending abroad and working on your proposal, this conference fee also can be supported from. This is about first component. You are free to ask any question if you have. Unfortunately, at this moment, I don't know much because we are in the process of negotiation and development tour with the ministry, EU delegation to Georgia, and etc. The only thing I can say that TOR says, the terms of reference, original terms of reference says that all fields, all scientific fields and subfields are eligible to participate, and this is equal. And today we got the impression from the ministry that probably the call will not have like a separate 1 or 2 or 3 field or subfields like a priority, but it could be shaped in a way that HE's and Horizon Europe's the big clusters like, health and well-being, food and agriculture, and energy and climate change. But this is better for us because these clusters are so big that this term well-being, it means not only, it's not only, how to say, it's not, it's health and well-being, I mean the cluster health and well-being. It's not about cardiology or endocrinology or etc. It's also about mental health, it's about psychiatry or psychology or something else. So it's better, it's a wider view of the problem and the cluster, so that's good. And also, what else could be asked in our time is if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll switch to component 2, which will be mostly implemented during second year of the project. This is capacity enhancement in proposal writing and grant management. And for this, as Mr. Debreceni already mentioned, we have money for bringing here, inviting the experts from EHE to provide the workshops, seminars, trainings, and etc. And this is, with this second component where we start, this is the gap analysis, because we all know really very well that, let alone that even without signing an agreement with Horizon 2020, we were allowed to participate. Then in 2016, we signed an agreement and we became full eligible member of Horizon 2020, and we had access with this 85 or 75 billion euro, which was there, and we pay every year. We pay the enormous fee, which is we pay very big money for this. But even this money, it's a big number. But this we have to take into consideration that this is 50% discount. And even with this, I'm sorry, 70% discount. And so we are paying 30% for participation. And from this 30%, 50% from these 30 we are getting back to recruit in STI sector and to enhance our STI sector. To actually, we are paying 15%. And it still is about 5 or 6 or something million lari per year. And we, it was 5 point something million when I was at the foundation. Nowadays, with this lari and euro rate into the course, probably it's even higher. And what's the problem is that we even though we pay money, we are associated member and etc., we still are very low performed in Horizon 2020 and now in Horizon Europe, but the Horizon Europe actually just started. In Horizon 2020 our performance was very low, and even if we had, Georgia has a project in Horizon 2020, in most cases that was not some leading institution which coordinated this project. The Georgia participated as a part of consortia. So, and that was like a political part of the play, that these newcomers and regional universities, also an institution, should participate. This is EU's politics. So it means that all together, if you just combine all the picture, it means that the Georgian institutions seems that they don't have much capacity to present their own project and be successful. That's why it was decided to get some help from European Union, European Commission. And it was decided in 2018, by the way, and since then it was negotiated during 1 year. Then the first version of technical proposal was announced in 2020, but it was not successful. And then in 21, and finally were implementing the program. So this was the idea, and so the organization of workshops, strengthening and networking and awareness raising for P2P contacts and etc. This was the idea and the part of the basis for shaping the original terms of reference and getting these 1.5 billion euro from European Union for this. First of all, for mobility, to allow Georgian researchers to go abroad and build this network or enhance already existing network, and then be able to enter in a cluster of Horizon Europe and shape some proposal. We will be probably during this negotiation of designing, during this period when we design the tour, during this negotiation, probably we will think a lot about what should we require as an output, outcome, and etc. Because Mr. Debreceni already pointed several times that in original terms of reference there's a publication or patenting or something like this, and he mentioned this several times that during only 3 months of the fellowship and delivered book publication, it's not not normal, because the normal publication, of course, it's field related and it depends on the field, but still it takes much more than just a few months. It sometimes takes a year, 1 year or 1.5, and etc. So we probably will be very careful with an indicator, key performance indicators and outcomes and outputs. But this is what I should give you at this moment, or I could give you as an information. This is like Mr. Debreceni likes to say, this is roadshow. That we are here, we are starting the project, and the more details will come later, in about 1 month, when we announce the call and start these so-called consultations, like we used to call it CNSFG. So the schedule for the second component is in June, July this year. We are starting this gap analysis. It means that we need from our policymakers, from ministry, one ministry, another ministry, economy and education and science, have information about which cluster, which pillar, first of all, which pillar and which cluster in the pillars they would like to strengthen and to enhance and etc. So when we get this information, if we get this information, then we will start organization of workshops in proposal writing that will take place in February and April. Then strengthening networking with these institutions in February and September. Then to person-to-person P2P initiatives, May and July, and sustainability measures. That's necessary part. This is by the end of the project, December and January 22. The project started in February, so January is the last month of the project. January 22. What else should I say? That's a slide. The pillars, 3 main pillars of Horizon Europe. First, this is Open Science, yes, European Research Council, the highest level of science and performance. Marie Skłodowska-Curie Action, which is for PhD students, great, and infrastructure. And second pillar, with this global challenges and industrial competitiveness, with this its own clusters, health and well-being should be there, digital industry, climate, energy, food and agriculture, etc. 6 clusters all. And the third pillar, this is open innovation with innovation ecosystem. So we were advised to stick on the second pillar and the clusters on the second pillar, but as I said, the original tour says that all scientific fields and subfields are eligible. A few information which we know already. First of all, Mr. Debreceni probably mentioned, I was writing something, I didn't pay attention, but probably he mentioned that the eligibility criteria, the only eligibility criteria which at this moment is on table, we have this, is that 4-year PhD before announcing the call, because the applicant should have PhD. For defended 4 years ago, because 4 years earlier, the call is announced, and the only thing which we learned today at the steering committee meeting, we tried our best. We wanted to, in original technical proposal, the technical proposal says that the mobility should be implemented in the EU member state countries. We did everything what we could. I wanted very much to extend this list according, for instance, like Erasmus, for instance, Norway, UK, Israel, that's non-member countries, they say, near Bulgaria, Turkey, and etc., but it didn't work. We were told that what is in technical proposal, this is the rule, and it stays on the table, so it didn't work. So it will be only EU member states for this, for now, for these at least grant.